Hi, fellow dog fanciers. Welcome back to a new episode of the life of our puppy Eris, her life and her adventures. Today, she is here with me because I thought you would start thinking I have an imaginary friend that just lays next to my bed and you never see her. So I found a solution and I got her favorite sitting spot, and that's actually my favorite sitting spot, but she steals it every time. It's on the bed now so that she can join us. You can barely tell she's a puppy now because she is almost 100% full grown Whippet, but in her head she is just a teeny tiny little baby. And no, I'm not wearing pajamas, but even if I was, why would you care? Anyway, last time I told you about how our other 7 Whippets started to warm up to her, but it was only the beginning of her bonding with them. Good relationships are built with time. Trust and respect don't fall from the sky, they are earned, just as in human relationships, so as with dogs. So today I will show you how she continued to build good relationship with them and how we started to allow her to walk around the house off leash and under supervision, of course. Oh, that's actually quite comfy. Contrary to what I planned, I don't think that I'll have time to cover her first show because I wanted to focus on a few other topics today, and shows are something that I want to talk about in a bit more detail. So, to not make it a super duper long video, we will have to split it. To begin with, you all know that Ivy loved Eris since the day she saw her. In the evening, when Eris had to go out for her last toilet visit before going to bed, Ivy started to sneak out and wait for her at the door. We let her out, which was basically in the puppy pen. She wasn't allowed in her puppy pen, and that was one way she could squeeze in one last playtime for the day. That's adorable if you ask me. And because she wanted to be with her adoptive sister so much, we started to invite her over for pajama parties, where she used the moment to show her love. And puppies know better about playing games than they know about having their ears cleaned, but Ivy didn't mind. The following day, we let Eris free roam the house along with all the other Whippets and under supervision. Because of this whole new area that was no longer restricted for her, she felt she had so much to do, so she went from one room to another over and over again. There was no mischief yet because she didn't have time for that, as she spent her time investigating every corner of the house 100 times over and over again. Lacey wasn't too happy about that because her peace and quiet was now over. And in a few hours, she went back to the puppy pen to sleep. She was so busy outside that she forgot she had to rest, and as a result, she became too tired without realizing it and hyperactive as a result. Skylar also started to allow her to be on the same bed with her. And by allow her, I mean she chose to stay there instead of running away, which says a lot about the level of trust she already had for the pup. And of course, Eris loved her playtime with Brady, who was such a gentle boy with the little child. Eris is pure luck in every single possible way I can think of. If I could intentionally choose the temperament of a new puppy that is to come join our established pack, I would have picked a puppy that's exactly like her. She's so understanding of everyone's boundaries, how she is allowed to act around them, and how she can behave with each of our other dogs as individuals. For example, her relationship with Brady and Ivy was clear as day, but she knew she can't wrestle with Jamie like she does with them, so they played with toys and only when Jamie sent the invitation. She knew that Skylar and Cooper didn't trust her completely yet, so she was very calm around them and she only engaged with them when they showed such desire. She didn't challenge anyone, as there are puppies that will do that with older dogs. She didn't try things that would make them teach her discipline the hard way. She was respectful with everyone. And here she played with her older brother Juby, who just like Queen is a whippet that's not mine, but I'm so attached to him and his people that he is family to me. Speaking of the one and only Queen, we could never miss playtime with her either. And one day we took Puppy and Jamie outside to a safe, fenced area where they could strengthen their bond and we could slowly start working on teaching Puppy to be off leash. That worked great because at home Jamie showed some willingness to be very close to Eris outside of playing games, which was unseen before. The bond between Eris and Ivy also grew stronger every day, and we felt more comfortable to allow them to play anywhere, anytime, as Ivy proved she would do no harm to Eris no matter what. Ivy plays with a pup in a way she doesn't with anyone else. She doesn't wrestle with her sisters because they're all female dogs, the B word, in every sense of it, and since they have grown up, they no longer play like this anymore, as the game escalates in a stupid way and evolves in a competition to prove who is the strongest. But this doesn't mean that she doesn't miss this type of interaction with another dog, and Eris brought Ivy's inner puppy to the surface. And so, Eris would even be allowed to sleep next to her sister, and sometimes Ivy would very much like to rest and be lazy, but Eris would think otherwise. Mind you, Ivy's patience with her is beyond imagination, and Puppy got very used to playing with her all the time and anywhere. But this doesn't mean that we must take advantage of this patience and abuse it. If Eris ever gets too persistent, I don't wait for Ivy to discipline her. I always advocate for my older dogs and I make sure Puppy doesn't go over their patient limits. If she ever becomes too much and doesn't believe that Ivy or any of our other whippets no longer want to play, I just say no or I call her so that we can do something else. And trust me, I've done my job very well this time with this puppy and my no is law to Eris. Which in combination with Ivy's or another dog's body language is enough to make her understand that enough is enough. On her third day of partial freedom, Eris learned how to use the doggy door, also known as the portal to the garden, and she learned it only by watching the adult whippets go in and out. And here I called her very first and successful attempt to use it. This made her even more satisfied with her life because just as the big kids, she could go in and out whenever she wanted. That day she also learned that when she needs to do her business, she can just go out herself and she hasn't had a single accident in the house. big challenge we had with her were her picky eating habits, and I will talk about that in a separate dedicated video. And she was also very suspicious whenever we offered her new foods. In this case, I offered her minced beef steak in our aim to transition her to raw food in hopes she would start eating larger amounts and more consistently, but even beef was not to be trusted. And that's how she was with anything new we offered, including new treats. Another thing was at 10:30 p.m., me and her went to bed in the puppy pen because, as always, we had to remind her she also had to sleep to survive. And in the evening, she was more hyperactive than ever. She knew bedtime was coming and she tried to do as much as possible and visit as many rooms as possible and also play as hard as she could. And around that time, all of our other whippets are sleeping, chilling, resting, and would rather prefer everyone else to be quiet. And since Puppy didn't allow them to enjoy their peaceful evenings, we just had to go to bed. And because she knew she was going to the pen sooner or later, but at the same time she had so much more work to do, as I mentioned, she never reminded herself on her own that she had to sleep, and she was also never sleeping outside of the pen until day 3, when she finally took a nap on the couch, and that Whippet fam was to be celebrated. This experience taught her that nothing would go wrong if she took some rest on her own call every once in a while, and she naturally became calmer and more laid back because she already knew she had time for everything in her busy schedule. In the morning, when everyone had breakfast, once she was done with hers, we let her out in the garden, and every day she sneaked through the doggy door to see what's on the menu for the oldies and have a snack. Our group of oldies is Skylar, Cooper, and Brady, and they are completely safe with no resource guarding tendencies whatsoever, and they were not unhappy to share a bit of their meal with her. And once I had to go away for the weekend, and when I came back, she was very happy to help me carry my bag and unpack. At this time, she wasn't so glued to me just yet, and my absence wasn't that dramatic, but everything was about to change in the following weeks when she became my very own personal 24/7 magnet. I will wrap it up here, and next time I will talk about her very first show and also her second show because they were 1 week apart. And as usual, I'll have a lot to talk about, so it was better like this to leave it in a separate video of its own. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, any questions or video requests, leave them in the comments. I'll address them accordingly. I wish you a lovely weekend and a fantastic week afterwards, and I will see you next Friday with a new video. Bye bye!